the garage for you. Badass.
Tell me what you want. Tell me what you needed.
Dr. Dollar Entertainment.
92.7 KUFM. 92.7 KUFM News. Concise, precise, balanced, unbiased.
We are live from Benin City to the world. This is 92.7 KUFM News Dawn.
It's 6:30 a.m. Good morning and welcome to News Dawn on KU 92.7 FM Benin City. First, the headlines. Governor Obaseki appoints Osaigbovo-Iyoha as Chief of Staff. Federal government agrees to raise health workers' retirement age and hazard allowance. Senate passes bill scrapping HND and BSc dichotomy. And on business, CBN to implement common standards on shared services for banks. In sports, Azizat Oshoala linked with Manchester United move. Details of these and more after this break. I am God's Love, Orlando. And now the news. The Edo State Governor, Godwin Obaseki, has appointed Honorable Osaigbovo-Iyoha as the Chief of Staff. The appointment was announced in a statement by Secretary to the State Government, Osarodion Ogie, on Wednesday afternoon. The appointment takes immediate effect. Iyoha, who served as the immediate special advisor to the governor on political matters, Edo South, was a member of the Edo State House of Assembly representing Oredo East constituency from 2015 to 2019, where he attained the position of Chief Whip. Born on 6th of July 1973, Honorable Iyoha holds a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering from Ambrose Ali University, formerly Edo State University, and a master's of engineering degree in industrial engineering from the University of Benin, Uniben. He is presently concluding a PhD in industrial engineering at the University of Benin. This is Governor Obaseki's second official appointment since his assumption of office for second tenure after Barrister Osarodion Ogie as the Secretary to the State Government. And talking politics, Chairman of the People's Democratic Party, PDP in Edo State, Tony Azegbemi, has been suspended over alleged misconduct. A statement signed by the State Publicity Secretary, Chris Naikare, said the decision was taken at a State Working Committee meeting that held at the State Party Secretariat on Tuesday, with a third majority of members resolving in a motion that the State Chairman, Tony Azegbemi, should step aside from his position. The party leaders also resolved that the State Deputy Chairman, Harrison Omagbon, will act as chairman until the determination of the allegations levied against Azegbemi. An investigative committee headed by the State Legal Advisor, Barrister Arthur Essene, has been set up and is mandated to report to the Working Committee within 1 week. And meanwhile, reacting to the purported suspension of the chairman, the party's financial secretary in the state, Fidelis Igenibale, described the suspension as false and figment of imagination. Igenibale pointed out that the ESCO decided to set up a four-man committee with the state legal advisor who came up with the allegation as chairman, the state's woman leader, the state auditor, and the state financial secretary over allegation that Dr. Tony Azegbemi compromised to call for the withdrawal of the letter. He also explained that the State Working Committee has no power to suspend or discipline the state's chairman. The financial secretary said there were no suspensions whatsoever during the meeting, but more of a heated argument against the chairman for insisting and appealing that the letter to the national chairman should be withdrawn. The state-owned Ambrose Ali University, AAU, Ekpoma chapter of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, has announced the suspension of its 66 days-old strike action over unpaid salaries for several months and more than 1 year unpaid check of dues and other sundry deductions from salaries in the institution. The university's chapter of ASU began a strike action on 25th of March this year to press for the payment of unpaid wages with check of dues and other sundry deductions from the salaries of staff in the institution. A statement jointly signed by Dr. Monde Igbafen and Dr. Anthony Koka Aiziobogie, chairperson and secretary respectively, said the suspension of the strike action was as a result of a memorandum of action between the university administration and the union after several engagements. At its meeting on Monday, 31st of May 2021, where MOA was received and discussed, the Congress of the Universities ASU resolved to accept the said memorandum of action and subsequently suspended its strike action effective 31st of May 2021. The union gave the details of the memorandum of action to include that the government will meet its obligation of paying the first tranche of the outstanding emolument to the staff of the university within the week. The first tranche constitutes a minimum of 2 months' full salaries, January and February 2021, as well as 2 months of outstanding check-off dues and other sundry deductions. That the first tranche be paid in the first week of June 2021. The remaining emoluments, salary check-off dues, and other sundry deductions shall be paid on or before the 30th of June 2021. Away from the educational sector to the health sector, where the managing director of the Edo State Traffic Control and Management Agency, ETMA, Dennis Oleregwe, says 4 persons have been referred to the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Selu, for assessment of their mental health after using their vehicle to ply one way in Benin City Metropolis. Oleregwe said the vehicle of the traffic offender have also been impounded by ETMA pending when their drivers undergo all the necessary psychiatric tests, which they have to pay for.
So, and that additional punishment is to send them to psychiatric hospital. Presently, we have sent 4 drivers to psychiatric hospital, and the vehicles are still in our yard, and we are waiting for the result and the report from psychiatric hospital. Well, what we have discovered since we have included this additional punishment of 1 week, it has reduced tremendously. I think they are aware that is why they are running away from it, and they are now avoiding, or it has reduced drastically.
He also said the agency research and planning has identified all the major bus stops in Benin City Metropolis and will soon put bus stop signs in strategic areas, which will reduce gridlock in the city center.
We have identified all the bus stops in major roads in Benin. That is Saple Road, Apapava to Aduawa Axis and Agbo Road. Then the Selu Axis, that is the Uniben Axis. Then the Kenwa Airport Road. Very soon, we will put a bus stop sign in all the bus stops in these routes. And vehicles will be expected to use it. But immediately we are able to put bus stop sign, we are going to do an enlightenment, especially the commercial vehicles, for at least a period of 2 weeks before enforcement. And why are we doing it? We realize that commercial buses add to the traffic gridlock in the city, because when they stop passengers everywhere without no designated bus stop, it adds to gridlock. It has to hold up.
The MD of ETMA had in May 2021 signed a memorandum of understanding with the medical director of the Federal Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Benin, to carry out psychiatric evaluation of one-way traffic offenders in Benin City. Away from that, elsewhere, the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, has taken a swipe at the U.S. media giant Twitter, saying its mission in Nigeria is suspicious. Mohammed's comments came after Twitter deleted President Muhammadu Buhari's tweet where he issued a threat to troublemakers in the country while making reference to Nigeria's civil war. While defending its action, the tech company said the president's tweets violated its rules. But briefing State House reporters at the presidential villa on Wednesday in Abuja, the minister accused Twitter of ignoring inciting tweets by the leader of indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, and others, adding that Nigeria would not be fooled.
The mission of Twitter in Nigeria is very, very suspect. As Twitter deleted the violent tweets that Nnamdi Kanu has been sending, has he? The same Twitter during the NSAS program that was funding NSAS protesters was the first to withdraw, to close the account of former president of US, Trump. And you see, when people were burning police stations and killing policemen in Nigeria during NSAS, for Twitter, it was about the right to protest. But when a similar thing happened on the Capitol, it became insurrection. You see, we are not going to be fooled by anybody. We have a country to rule, and we'll do so to the best of our ability. Twitter's mission in Nigeria, to give it citing those 2 examples, is very suspect. What is the agenda?
President Buhari had, during a meeting with the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, issued a stern warning to those plotting to destroy Nigeria, saying they will soon receive the shock of their lives. He also condemned the series of attacks on INEC facilities, stressing that the federal government has given the perpetrators enough time. The federal government has made an offer to increase hazard allowance for all health workers in government health establishments in the country. The government also agreed to increase the retirement age of doctors and other health workers from 60 to 65 years and 70 years for consultants. The Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, announced this on Tuesday night after a meeting between the federal government and representatives of all professional bodies and unions in the health sector. A statement issued on Wednesday by the Deputy Director, Press and Public Relations in the Ministry of Labour and Employment, Charles Akpan, said the meeting, which was held at the banquet hall of the Presidential Villa Abuja, deliberated on the issue of hazard allowance and retirement age for health workers in government health establishments. Ngige told journalists that the federal government has moved up from the 5,000 naira monthly hazard allowance paid to all health workers in Nigeria, offering 350% and 600% increment for junior workers and senior workers, respectively. The Senate on Wednesday passed a bill seeking to abolish the contrast between the higher national diploma certificate and the university degree holders in the country. The piece of legislation, sponsored by Senator Ayo Akinyi-Lore, passed the third reading on the floor of the State Senate at plenary. The chairman, Senate Committee on Tertiary Institutions and TED Fund, Ahmed Kaita, presented his report, and all the amended 6 clauses were approved by the Senate. And coming up on our business news, CBN to implement common standards on shared services for bank. Details in a moment.
1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 600 billion, and the last kobo. Oh yes, we follow the money. It's all about the business and the business of business. The gains and the losses. The bulls and bears. The rise and falls. The risk and the satisfaction of seeing the last kobo rise to millions. On KUFM's Business News, the simple and complex jargons of business just make sense. Get the trending news on the morning market, forecast, investment opportunities, policy changes, and other breakout information on the ever-busy world of business. KU Business News, Monday to Friday on our news dawn, 6:30 to 7 a.m.
The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, will commence implementation of uniform standards on transfer pricing arrangements in the Nigerian banking industry from June 2021, following the release of guidelines for shared services arrangements for banks and other financial institutions, OFIs. In a circular signed by Director of Financial Policy and Regulation Department, Kevin Amigo, the CBN says absence of standards on shared services and transfer pricing arrangements in the Nigerian banking industry was evidenced on the uneven management of shared services with the attendance concerns on governance, financial and tax management practices. According to the Apex Bank, the objectives of the guideline is to set out supervisory expectation in respect of shared services arrangements between a parent company and its subsidiary to ensure that the fees received or paid reflect the services rendered, taking into account the assets used and the risk assumed, to ensure that financial institutions comply with the extant transfer pricing regulation in Nigeria and to reduce operational costs of benefiting institutions. The provision of the guidelines were limited to merchant banks, financial holding companies, OFIs, payment services banks, and other payment services licensed by the CBN, provided that the financial institution is either a parent company operating in Nigeria and licensed by the CBN, or a subsidiary company licensed by the CBN and carrying on its operations in Nigeria. And that's it on business. And now in sports, where Azeezat Oshola linked with Manchester United move. Details in a moment. And now talking sports, where Super Falcons striker Azeezat Oshola could be set for a stunning return to the WSL, with Manchester United reportedly keen on the striker. According to reports, United have made an offer for the forward who helped Barcelona win their 6th La Liga women's title. The 26-year-old former Arsenal star has enjoyed a trophy-laden season with the Spanish side, who won their first ever UEFA Women's Champions League title after trouncing Chelsea 4-0. She scored 16 goals in 22 appearances for the side, who have lost just one of their 29 top-flight games this season. Oshoala netted 4 times in 9 matches in Europe, helping Barca become the most dominant force in the women's game on the continent this term. And that's it on Sport News. And that's the news, but before we go, let's take a quick recap of the headlines. On the news this morning, we told you that Governor Godwin Obaseki has appointed Osaigbovo Iyoha as Chief of Staff, and federal government has agreed to raise health workers' retirement age and hazard allowance. And finally, Senate passes bill scrapping HND and BSc dichotomy. Please do remember that the continued unity of Nigeria is a collective responsibility. Be sure to play your part. Do not forget you can listen to us anywhere in the world, either by visiting our website at www.kufm.net, or you can download our KU mobile app from the Google Play Store. Remember, we're also live on YouTube at KUFM Nigeria. KUFM's News Dawn was produced by Lebedum Asagwaram. I am God's Love Orlando, saying thanks for listening and good morning.
92.7.
Flip the music.